Well, I'll be doing mine from down here.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I think we will go ahead and get started. Have a good long weekend. Last week we kind of had our rapid fire kind of jumped into what it is that we're going to talk about for the semester. And for the most part, we're going to be focusing on the stuff, the technology, the devices, the systems that we use. But I think that it's very important to not lose sight of the human aspect, and that is people who actually use AAC. Unless you're in some sort of a specialty setting, I think it's very easy to think of AAC very much in the abstract and forget that there are people in this process. Last fall when I taught the class, I actually had two of the grad students were taking this class, and both of them were in placements where they were in self-contained classrooms where there were actually a majority of the kids in the classroom were using AAC. And so they got to see the very human side of it that unfortunately, given the nature of our situation where we're really more academic focused here, I'd be remiss if I didn't make attempts to bring that human side to it. So I'm really excited to let you know that actually we're going to watch some videos today of people, real people using AAC in their everyday lives. And in one of the videos, there's a little gal who's local. And she and her mom will be coming to class in weeks in October to actually talk and engage with them. So you're going to get to see a parent perspective, which I think is really important. But you're also going to get to see a young lady who's a spitfire. She's a pistol is the only word I would use to describe her. That's what my dad was. She is. And you get to interact with her. Actually, you get to see some video of her today too. So that's kind of fun. So today we're really going to focus our attention on who uses AAC. Before I jump into what I've got, I want to hear what you think. When you think of people who would use AAC, what images are conjured up for you?
The first thing I
because I've seen it in a couple different classes. And I don't know, it might be one of the videos we're watching. Leanna Bryant.
Yeah, but she's actually, she's coming to our class and we are going to see her.
I've never gotten to see her because like both my classes were pretty big, so I don't think they like wanted to have her like come in and I don't know, make her the center of attention like that. I've heard her mom talk about it and I've seen the videos. When I think that, I think of her using the eye gaze and that video.
Okay, so someone is relying on eye gaze. So what would that suggest to you? If someone's having to use an eye gaze system for access, what are you thinking? Severe physical disability, right? You know, it's not like someone who can touch a touch screen on an iPad, or we've actually got a little gal that families are really good friends for us. So one of our guys she's also one of Dr. Scarborough's patients for swallowing, and she has a really expensive AAC system because she is apraxic and has some other communication difficulties that insurance paid for, but I don't know who it is that actually did the original assessment, but Mom will tell you, and I have to agree, that his poor job because it's a very impractical device for this child. It's not at all engaging, and thousands of dollars were spent, and it basically is sitting in their house collecting dust. So she didn't have the best answer. My daughter, you've seen her. I'd really like to have her assessed. I understand you teach the class, blah, blah, blah. And so we did the assessment and went into it knowing that they're probably going to look for a tablet type of a device because she gets very engaged with her mom's smartphone and things like that. But I think for fine motor, for communication, having a tablet with a larger screen makes me do better. But she's got pretty decent fine motor skills because she can even play games and things on a smartphone. So that's going to require fairly precise fine motor skills. Whereas someone who's going to rely on an eye gaze system, if eye gaze is their most reliable response output, they probably are fairly physically involved. So yes, Nicole, great example. Folks who have severe physical disabilities, like what? Cerebral palsy, absolutely. Maybe a person who has Parkinson's disease at end stage. Maybe a person who has ALS. Maybe a person who has Guillain-Barré. That's hopefully typically a disease process that the person is going to recover from. So we're probably not going to go to a real expensive, sophisticated device or something like that because it's going to be temporary use. But so yes, so severe physical disabilities. Who else are folks who use AAC?
Just another example that I worked with, the girl that I knew said she has autism, and so she uses one of the books to look up her and say,
Yeah,
I know
one of
what
the
it is.
textbooks. Yeah. Okay. So children on the spectrum, absolutely. Keep in mind, folks, with CP, it's not just kids; it's adults as well. We're actually going to see several adults in the videos today. We'll see some kids too. Who else? Who else?
I have a cousin who has pretty severe sensory condition, and she uses one, and she has gotten better, but she's pretty severe, and so she'll use it to start doing instructions. But it's like an autism, like
A touchscreen? Okay. So, yes, individuals with cognitive or intellectual deficits may be AAC users. That may be a more reliable it's really interesting. Most, particularly adolescents and adults that I know who are truly deaf, do you know what their favorite preferred method of communication is? Everybody, they have a cell phone. They like to text. They can read. They can communicate. They're masters of emoticons. They're pretty sophisticated. Well, because they know that that's one of the drawbacks of that kind of communication, email, texting. You don't necessarily know the person's tone. And so, yeah, absolutely. Here in the impaired population, there are a number of individuals who use some type of assistive technology. Who else? Big population that just kind of alluded to. Stroke patients absolutely can be really good candidates, and not necessarily even from the standpoint of using it as their primary communication tool, but there are a lot of really good interactive applications and programs that can be used to help retrain verbal communication as well. But for some, that may be their best output. The problem that we run into is that a lot of times individuals who've had a stroke who are trying to use some sort of communication system, if it's because of a severe aphasia, they're still going to be aphasic regardless, and so if they have very telegraphic communication, they may not be communicating in full, grammatically prolific utterances, so we have to be careful about that. But and that's why personally I would typically use it not with my aphasia clients, other than some like Graphica has some wonderful therapy materials that can also be used. You can, as you're training them, you're basically training them to use the device, which is fine. But folks that have motor speech disorders, who have dysarthria or apraxia, and you guys, you haven't had motor speech yet because it's a graduate class here. You may have touched on it in neuro a little bit. You know the difference between dysarthria and apraxia? It's the hallmark difference. And if you don't, that's okay. Dysarthrias are motor-based speech disorders where the muscles are impacted. They're either weak or their movements are uncoordinated. So you have weakness or incoordination of muscle movement with dysarthria. With apraxia, it's a motor speech disorder where there is a short circuit between the motor strip of the brain and the mouth. So they fully know what they want to say, but somehow or another the signal from the brain to the mouth gets short-circuited, and so what comes out is not clear. So the easy way to remember it is dysarthria, there's muscle impairment. Apraxia has motor plan or execution of movement issues, but the muscles are intact.
So which one of those is more consistent? I know that's how I.
Dysarthric speakers typically make very consistent errors. The muscles are weak, the range of motion may be impacted, and so they tend to make very consistent errors. Whereas apraxia, because things are short-circuiting, it's much more unpredictable, and the errors are somewhat inconsistent. Good question. Thank you for that. That's a good point that I forgot to mention. The best students, ask very good questions. Remind me of things that I take for granted that people need to know.
So would you be able to pick up on patterns that some of the dysarthria would lose?
Oftentimes you can.
Apraxia?
Yeah, much more so because it's much more predictable. So you may find that over time, you recognize their pattern of errors, and so it might be much more predictable. But for the people who don't know them, or aren't used to listening to them, it's still going to be difficult to understand them. And that's why AAC is really a viable option for a lot of folks with motor speech disorders. I always start off my motor speech disorders class with the bad news, and that is that typically, especially when we're working with kids, we're looking at normal. They're gonna have the ability to make all of the individual speech sounds in the English language. I mean, that's our goal if we're working on articulation or phonology. We let them understand it. With motor speech disorders, just given the nature of the disorders, complete recovery is the rare. Complete recovery to normal speech, normal articulation, typically is not going to happen. And so our focus is on maximizing function. Our focus is on maximum communication efficiency and effectiveness. So if we can get intelligible approximations, bravo, we've done our job. And the same thing can be said for a lot of children who have severe apraxia. Kids have mild apraxia and even moderate apraxia. They have a pretty good prognosis for complete achievement of intelligible speech, even perfectly articulated speech. The process is long, sometimes as much as 10 years of intensive treatment to get there. But for kids that have a severe apraxia, our goal is probably acceptable approximations, so that, like Grace said, we get them to the point where people are able to get the gist of what it is that they're trying to say. Anyone here watch Channel 12 series? Channel 12 since CBS? One of the anchors on the local news, Kid Andrews, her son Gus is severely apraxic. Although he's doing quite well, she will frequently talk about him and how he's doing and what the challenges he either started high school or started college. And he's doing pretty well. Does it sound normal? Absolutely. So, the point of all of this is, if you've met one person that uses an AAC system, you've met one person who uses an AAC system. They take just about every size, shape, color, and configuration under the sun. Children, adults, and the elderly, all are potential users. People that have physical disabilities, whether they're congenital or acquired, and then people with degenerative conditions. Congenital, things that occur prior to, during, or shortly after the birth process. So that would be things like CP, for example. Okay? Acquired, something that happens later in life. Usually the cutoff is after 18 months. So if the person has an accident, illness, or injury that occurs after the age of 18 months, we say that that's an acquired. Whereas if it occurs younger than 18 months, we usually consider it a congenital condition. I used to always think congenital had to be acquired, but the true medical definition is that it's an accident, illness, or injury condition that occurs prior to 18 months of age. there are obviously different systems. We have two individuals using gestural systems. We have someone using what looks like more of a tablet-based system, and then we have more lap-based, almost PC-like systems. They can take many shapes and forms. Something that's not up there. Hospital. ICU. You'll frequently run into the need for AAC of some sort in the hospital ICU. People are on vents and trachs, and so they may be cognitively fine. They may be even physically able, but they can't talk. So sometimes communication boards, pen and paper. Use that. Use school pens in the hospital all the time. That might be another. Folks who have had head and neck surgery and might use an electrolarynx, either a cheek or neck based or a Cooper hand straw device. It's really complicated to see. And so different settings, you're going to have different needs, and people take all different sizes and shapes and conditions. So let's take a look at this first one. It comes from our friends at the Perlman Center at Cincinnati Children's, and they will be having some folks come and present for us at some point this semester.
Augmentative and alternative communication, also known as AAC, is a way for an individual to communicate when they do not have the physical ability to use verbal speech or writing. AAC systems are designed to help people express their thoughts, needs, wants, and ideas. AAC can range from a simple set of picture symbols on a communication board up to a computer system that is programmed to speak with words or messages. AAC might be a temporary system that is used while a child's speech and language are developing, or might be the individual's primary means of communication for a lifetime. AAC is used by those with a wide range of speech and language impairments. Common causes for severe speech disability include congenital conditions such as cerebral palsy and autism. Also, many people acquire conditions that result in the loss of speech. Some common examples include amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or Lou Gehrig's disease, head injuries, and Parkinson's disease. AAC can help people who are not able to talk at all. It can also be a helpful strategy if a child is talking but is difficult to understand. The use of AAC strategies can help children improve their ability to interact with others and to communicate better at home, at school, and in the community. Using AAC can also help decrease inappropriate behaviors, such as crying or tantrums that are often due to the child's difficulty with communication. There are a wide variety of ways that people access AAC. Access is the way an individual makes selections on a communication board or speech-generating device. Some of the access methods used for AAC include direct selection by pointing or reaching, scanning using a switch connected to a device, head pointing, and eye control. Selecting the best way to communicate can be a complex process. It's important to get an evaluation by a group of professionals who are qualified to evaluate the necessary skills to use an AAC system successfully. An evaluation should involve a team of professionals working together. In addition to the AAC user and his or her family and caregivers, this team often includes a speech-language pathologist, a physician, an occupational therapist, or a physical therapist.
No offense, but if you have a choice between a PT or an OT on your team, go with the OT every time and twice on Sunday. PTs, it's just not fair. I will replay this, I believe this last one. And we'll just skip that.
Lord, we need your things to the every problem that I have. Lord,
Welcome to my YouTube page. My name is Jack. In this video, I will talk about augmentative and alternative communication and AAC devices. Augmentative and alternative communication, AAC devices, is devices for people who have a speech problem. Like I would if like I go up to you on the street, and I will try to talk to you. Probably you will don't know what I am saying to you because I have a speech problem. But with an AAC device, it will be my voice. I only have to type what I want to say and click on the talk button or whatever I have to click on to get it to speak, and you will hear it. The AAC devices is out there, but some of them have some problems. Some of them is priced so high nobody can buy one. And the number two problem is some that is hard to use. I mean really hard to use. I bought one for the iPad for the iPod Touch, and if you have an iPhone, it will work on it too. The name of it is Assistive Chat. Look at this video here. Now the Assistive Chat app is full and easy to use. It has something I love. It has something called prediction. Words that mean when you are typing something, you will see words pop up on the screen, and you only have to choose the words you want to say when you are done typing.
Okay, so he's talking about word prediction. When we talk about our core main considerations, what is that? It's a strategy for rate enhancement. Now you're seeing, when he talks, he's talking about what a benefit it is to have that.
Message you want to
I
say, you
love
don't
that.
have to click on the talk button and look like a speaker. But that is not all it can do. You can save some messages in the app, like if somebody asks you what is your name, you can't find your name in a list of messages you put in yourself. And when you find your name, you only have to click on your name and it will say it automatically, or whatever you save in that list. And more if the history is too, it will keep the messages you type in some days. With the speaker come with the iPod Touch, nobody can hear if you are in a big room. Like what you hear in that video. If you can wait, I am going to get the Imanego to you from imanego.com to review for the iPod Touch. And when I get it, I will make a video with the Assistive Chat app with the Imanego 2 speaker. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my page and click on like this. Bye for now. Have a good day or night.
I've always been curious what his condition is, because obviously he's cognitively intact. Obviously he has pretty good fine motor skills in his hands, because he's able to access the touchscreen on an iPod Touch. And yet you could see he was drooling. He said that if he ran into me on the street, he'd have a hard time understanding me, so I use this to help assist with conversation. So it's not necessarily his primary, but it's a supplement that would help. So, and I can't really think of a whole lot of conditions that would so severely impact the mouth and the speech mechanism and not impact the extremities as well. Unless it's a really, some sort of a focal, maybe he has apraxia, but it looks like he's maybe a wheelchair user. I thought I saw a head. Yes. I don't know, but it's interesting. That particular device that he used would probably not be for everyone.
What is it?
It's you.
It's me? Alright, I know it's not your favorite, but it's time for your medicine.
I really like to see an ad for Triangle. That's pretty scary. That's why my
This is my primary means of communication. I also use a little Tecton train communication board as a backup connection, so I always have a way to communicate.
Nobody talking about that.
I learned how to use the voice output communication device called Illuminator, also manufactured by the Red my company. But after graduation, I did not have the support I needed to use the pilot razor. I wasn't able to use my communication device, and that meant I had to rely on other people who asked me yes and no questions. I can answer yes and no questions by opening my eyes to answer yes, and closing my eyes to answer no. The only other way I could communicate was to use my little communication board on my lap tray. Because I cannot point to the future myself, I must rely on other people to help me using an access method called partner-assisted scanning.
That's an important term to know. Partner-assisted scanning. So when you see he's contracted, he has spastic quadriplegia, so he doesn't have good access or good movement use of his hands and arms. And like you said, he was really frustrated until he got this Liberator AAC device. He had to rely on lap tray communication. And his is actually pretty sophisticated because he has different overlays. So he might have one that's more appropriate for different settings that he might be in. But then what would happen is what do you think the process would be with partner-assisted scanning? How do you think that works? Give it a stab.
If you can answer, you say you can answer yes or no, and services.
Right, so they basically have to, the partner has to basically, now maybe they can figure out from context and conversation, maybe they're going to concentrate on one part of the board outside set up. But basically, the way it's set up is his partner's going to point to each picture, and he has to indicate yes when they get to what he wants. So very time intensive. It's typically very limited in scope because we're using pictures. So not very efficient. That's one thing that a lot of folks who use AAC as their primary mode of communication, if they have a complaint, that's often it, is that it frequently takes them an inordinate amount of time in order to express even the most basic message. Like the gentleman before who said, it took him a lot of trial and error until he finally was able to get an app that allowed him to put specialty vocabulary in, like his own name. So, and he, it was just a single touch to get his name, whereas, before it was more of a process. So, that's one thing that we just haven't yet completely mastered. Nothing is as quick and efficient as spontaneous. But we're getting better. And we do have strategies, like great enhancement strategies, like word and letter prediction that'll help.
I will now demonstrate partner-assisted scanning.
My house? Oh, you're not the only person who happens in my house. Oh my gosh, yes, we're finished. It's a story. It was a story, but yes, we're finished.
Partner-assisted scanning is very difficult for people who don't know how to use the board with me. It can be frustrating for me and the people who are trying to use my board to communicate with me. After about 5 years of being dependent on other people to help me communicate, I began to receive speech therapy. Through speech therapy, I learned to use the Ego 14, and now I have the support I need to keep using my communication device. I am now able to communicate independently using my Ego 14. I cannot use my hands to point to the device, so I must use a switch positioned at my head to access my Ego 14. I use my switch to make choices through a method of selection called scanning. Another obstacle I face that affects my ability to communicate is not being able to read and spell. I was not taught to read as a child, so now I am trying to learn to read as an adult. Because I cannot spell out my messages, I choose pictures of my Ego 14 that represent words and put them together to make sentences. I will show you how I do this now. Want to hear a knock-knock joke?
Yes, I would love to hear a knock-knock joke.
Knock-knock.
Knock-knock, who's there?
Nose.
Knows who?
I nose friend before knock-knock jokes.
Oh, good, you nose flavored knock-knock jokes. Tell me one more.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Careful.
Uncle who?
Your pants will fall down when you wear that solo.
That's great.
But can you imagine, obviously that's a little lame, but to be an adult with a sense of humor, to have things that you want to say and be locked into a body that physically is not allowing you to, and yet I can't imagine anything more frustrating.
I love and quiet for as you can see it takes some time for me to write the sentence. I need people to be patient and wait for me to select the words I want to say. I understand everything that is said to me, but it takes time for me to respond. Being unfortunate has made a big change in my life because I am no longer dependent on others to be able to communicate. People can see I am intelligent and I have important things to say. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.
Okay, so he raised some really good points in there. What are some of the takeaways you get from watching that video? He is using, he has a head switch, and it's doing like line by line or quadrant by quadrant scanning. And when what he wants is within either that row or that quadrant, he can hit his head, and so then it'll start narrowing the search until it gets to the exact one that he wanted. He was mostly using line by line scanning, and then so it was popping across and kind of highlighting for him. You couldn't necessarily really appreciate it there, but on the screen it was highlighting. When it got to where he wanted to be, he would use a head switch, and then there would be another movement where it would say, he could then add a word, and then another movement that he can do when it gets to, okay, this is the entire utterance. So, access is a major point that I want you to take away from this. Different people are going to require different modes of access. He used a head switch. The other guy used actually a touch screen. We're going to see folks that use other methods. So we had a direct selection, touch screen, and we had a scanning option. What else is a takeaway message? What are some of the points that he raised that you're like, oh, okay, good point? Or maybe something that you didn't think about. He cannot read. That's definitely a major consideration. A lot of our kiddos can't read. So how do we take that into consideration? We have to come up with pictures or other symbolic representations. I think it's cool that he said, I never learned to read, but now as an adult, I'm learning, but it still takes me time. Okay, that's fine. Kudos as an adult with a lot of physical challenges. He's persistent, so I give him a lot of credit. What's another consideration that we talked about? What's frustrating?
You talked about how pretty frustrating it takes him a while, so other people couldn't.
Yeah, and he said, I realize it's frustrating for you too, but it's also frustrating for me. And so, all he's asking for is for people to be a little bit patient with him. And we see this happen not just with folks who have severe communication problems like he has. I see it happen with people who stutter. I see it happen with people with fingerprint. Individuals that their communication partners often don't have a whole lot of patience and either avoid communicating with them or try and communicate for them. And imagine, if you, as an adult, were suddenly rendered speechless and, you wouldn't want people trying to talk for you. Imagine going out to a restaurant. This guy, like he said, I have important things to say. It's also a line from the King's Speech. So parallels are better, and people who use AAC is allowed the same boundaries. But you know, imagine just something like going out to a restaurant. Okay, so I'm a server, I come up and I take an order and I take the order, and now all of a sudden, you know, unless I'm patient and allow you to tell me what you want, it's going to be easier to, what does she want? And I've seen that happen to people before. And I've heard folks who use AAC report that before. And I'm just going to take people in throttle them. If you're in prosecution, and you can see it on America's Most Wanted, this prevented me from acting on those services. You know, have to concentrate on having impulse control. But I'm sorry, I think people who aren't respectful of or mistreat babies and children, elderly people, people with disabilities, I think there's a special place that they rock for eternity because I just think it's terrible. It doesn't have to be physical abuse, and it can be respectful. And like you said, I want people to realize, and this device is helping people realize, I actually am an intelligent person and I have important things to say. And to me, that's like the nightmare would be to be locked into a body that's physically not cooperating and yet have a fully functioning mind. I can't imagine anything more frustrating. So, thankfully, you all are hopefully going to play a role, at least some of you. Some of you are going to be like, get me through this class, let me have a basic understanding and pray that I never encounter this again. And that's okay. This truly is a specialty area. This is something that you're either going to develop a passion for, and you're really going to run with it, or you're going to say, never have to look at that again. And that's the beauty of the profession. You can survive the classwork and maybe a quick, one or two encounter with it in the clinic, and then you can be done. But it was really funny because when we did the assessment of my friend's daughter, Dr. Sparber's patient, I had two graduate students who they actually did the evaluation. We talked about it, we planned it, but I basically let them run the assessment. And they both, when they walked out of there was literally, and you could just see a physical sigh of relief. And the one was like, I really feel like that went so much better than I thought. I'm glad that I've done it, and now I'm not afraid because she had also heard where she was probably going to be for her school placement, and she's going to have to do it. The other one, the sigh of relief was, man, I'm glad that's done. I don't ever want to have to do it again. And that's okay. So, lots to consider. Let's look at another. I think this is the one that's my favorite. Yes. This guy is amazing.
I do live on my own, but I do need assistance 4 times a day. I need help with my personal care tasks. I need someone to feed me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have to have someone get me a bath,
See how he's accessing
shower,
this
and
device?
get dressed in the morning. These
Typing
tasks
with
are
his feet.
really daunting for someone like me. The reality is many people with a disability try to find someone to live with them, so that they have someone always available if they need help throughout the day. I'm not a typical person with a disability.
He lives alone,
I
that's his
live
house.
by myself, and I am able to live by myself because I have developed a great community. In the morning, I do use the home care service. I use the home care service for the morning because it is a little more involved. They have to shower and dress me. It only takes them an hour to do, and by 8:30 they are out the door. I am by emergency, I can call a friend, and he or she can get to my house as quick as possible. I believe in building community, and I know that can be difficult for some to do. People that have a communication disability have a really difficult time forming relationships because they have a difficult time getting into a conversation with anyone. So Steve, tell me what you first got into experiencing communicating with me for the first time.
You know, the very first time that I communicated with you was a slow process. I mean, this was many years ago, 15 years ago. And so the early on process was slow, a lot of patience. I wanted to fill in gaps. And things have changed a bit, haven't they?
Yes, they have. This is where an AAC system can make a huge difference in a person's life. Yet, we need to educate people about what AAC is. Typically, when someone meets a person that uses AAC, he or she doesn't know how to interact with them. When this happens, the person says hi and walks away. He or she assumes the person couldn't understand them. People need to understand that people that use AAC are well educated. We want to talk to you. We want to build a relationship with you. AAC gives a person the opportunity to have a life. I have been using AAC for over 30 years now, and it has given me a life. It has given me the opportunity to build relationships, and those relationships have developed into a great community. The community I have built has given me the freedom to live on my own.
Pretty amazing to me. That guy has severe physical challenges, and yet he lives in his own home, on his own, and he has been able to put together a support system that allows him to do that. To me, that's amazing. I have 35 people that are on a rotation to do an hour a week, you know. I mean, and he's so blasé about it. And to me, I'm like, what? I don't know if something happened and I needed someone, Celeste was in the hospital and I needed someone to help me pick up Will and put dinner on the table every night, that I've got enough friends. That I do. But when you think about it, I mean, that's scary stuff. And yet he is put, and they showed a picture of him and a young lady, and obviously they were joking around a little bit. He was narrating over whatever they were doing. But that's one of the things that I'm looking for. Folks who use AAC, like you said, they're often well educated. And I've actually done some work on this guy. He's on Facebook. You can find him. It's amazing. He's college educated. Lives in his own home. Just some of the stuff that he's done just is absolutely incredible. And yet, like you said, people don't have the patience. They'll say hi, assume you don't understand, and walk away. And yet, just like the rest of us, they just want, they want to communicate, they want to interact, they want to have friendships. So, but now we've seen direct selection finger touchpad. We've seen partner-assisted scanning. We've seen switch access scanning. We've seen direct selection using the feet because you just get better fine motor control. You know, you have to be creative, and this is why you need to do the assessment, because you may not immediately recognize or even think of what might be the most reliable and most efficient response pattern, because he can he does lean down, so I'm sure he uses his fingers some. But he could pretty quickly, like when he was talking to the guy Steve, he could come up with some quick, short phrase answers that were fairly spontaneous. And I'm not sure that I would have immediately said, "Dude, kick off your shoes. Let's see if you can access, this with your feet." Now, obviously, they showed him as a kid. Someone figured out early on, and he had his device on the floor. So obviously, someone figured out very early on that that was going to be his best method. But I mean, would you, if you were doing an assessment, would you think, "Oh, take off your shoes. Let's see if you can tighten up your toes"? I mean, I just don't think it would occur to me. It wouldn't be the first, thing on my mind, and that's why we need an OT, because they think it was. They think outside the box. Except for my wife, who will tell you that she is the most inside the box person who I've ever met. She's the. This is a really cool video too. I really want you to see the show because she's actually a college student, and we actually follow. She shows us parts of her day and some of the things that she does. She's really cool.
A knock on the door told me to wake up. I turned over to press the door open and welcome to my bed. Still tired from doing homework the previous night, I had to get up at 8 a.m. for my 9:30 a.m. class. My assistant turned my dinner box on along with my laptop. I greeted her. She pulled back my covers and started to dress me. I started thinking about the speech I had to transfer to my dinner box so that I could actually say it in class. My assistant transferred me to my wheelchair. After brushing my hair and using the bathroom, my assistant got the cereal and I checked my email. I had about 11 emails. Nor will I thought to myself. My assistant accidentally spilled some cereal on me. I didn't mind, in fact, it was pretty much part of my normal routine due to having constant involuntary moments. We transferred my speech for class and I was off. I had to knock to get into class. The professor opens the door. "Hey, Hannah Banana." I smile and walk in. The professor starts by saying we are going to begin with a lecture on Aristotle and his role in persuasive communication, then we will have our presentations. I can handle this, I thought. After the lecture, we began presentations. I quickly raised my hand to go first. Maneuvering my way to the front, I delivered my speech flawlessly like a ballerina in the Nutcracker. I expect this out of all my presentations. If I not demand excellence out of myself, then who will? I am a 20-year-old in a wheelchair who is a full-time student at Elmhurst College using a communication device, my dinner box, to speak. Who's going to expect more than the bare minimum? I am. After class, I took a shower with full assistance. After showering, I have lunch. First, I go to the coffee shop on campus and order my usual, which is a white chocolate Frio. Then, I go to the cafeteria where all the staff members know me all too well and predict my order. I grab a table in the cafeteria, and during lunch, I am constantly getting waved hello to, and the fraternity men know I always expect my hug from them. Elmhurst College knows Hannah Thompson. My assistant helps me use the restroom and any last-minute errands before she leaves. In the afternoon, I have privacy, which I enjoy very much. Currently, I am preparing to be confirmed in the Catholic Church and getting a camera crew together for a documentary about my life, which takes up quite a bit of time. I am also an active member of a sorority, I Move. My sorority sisters love me for who I am and are the last people to care that I have a disability. I am thankful for them every day. After 3 to 4 hours of privacy, one of my 8 assistants comes for dinner. The assistants who come at night are peers of mine at the college. They come for dinner and to put me to bed. After dinner is when my main focus is homework. Homework assignments usually consist of research papers, summarizing readings, and preparing for oral presentations. At the end of the day, despite the challenges, I make it a point to show love for my life. I have friends that support me, scholars that embrace my talents, and a family that would move heaven and earth for me. I make it easy to be independent when it is a challenge. After my assistant puts me to bed and shuts the door, I reveal a face that few people see. I have tired brown eyes but a quiet smile as if to say you did it again and you will have the privilege of being independent tomorrow.
Okay. Another pretty amazing individual. She's living the typical college life. She goes and gets her daily lattes, and she flirts with all the guys, and expects to get hugs in return. So and she's in. I think she said she's a history major. So she's got to give lots of oral presentations. She has a device that interfaces with her computer. So I'm sure it probably has then print to voice output, so she can download her speech. She can type her speech up using the computer, download it into her device, and I'm sure that's what she did for this narration. Is she's typed it up, downloaded it in, hits the button, and spews it out. And I think it's interesting, and she said, I expect perfection. I expect that I'm going to get good grades. I have those expectations. If I don't, no one else will. And she obviously has put together a support system as well. That's the thing that amazes me, is some of these young adults with severe physical challenges, how they're able to communicate, how they're able to and really be independent from the standpoint that they're in control. Yeah, yes, they may need assistance, but they're the ones making the decisions about how that's going to happen, who's going to do it. It's done on their terms. And part of that is because they have an ability to communicate and say, this is what I want. And to me, that's really cool. That's really, as a speech pathologist, that's a really rewarding sense to have, that you played a role in helping form and shape this person and who they are today. Anyway, let's take a look at another one. There's one of these here in the middle, but
Too autistic in.
We're going to do math. So how can you get your board ready for math?
so this is in the school. He's doing a math lesson.
Well, where's the math at? I need. Here we go. Help. Okay, I'll show you. You ready? Okay. Go to school. Go to classes. Now, did you see the math class? See the second one? Math class. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm going to write down two numbers, and you're going to tell me the number that is bigger. Okay? All right? So you're going to tell me the number that is bigger. We have 8 and 2. Which number is bigger? Do you want me to make a box? Okay. Which one is bigger? Well, remember, you can make it 2. I know. You can make it 2 that way too. Okay, well tell me on your chalkboard board. Which number is bigger? What's your number? Thank you. There you go. Which number is bigger? That's class 8. Very good, Miss Leah. Okay, leave it on your numbers. I'm going to do a couple of these. Are you Ready? Now we're going to do which number is smaller. Okay? Which number is smaller? Okay? Very good. That's right. All right. Now we're going to try some adding problems. Ooh, are you ready to do that? Some of our plus problems. So how can we get back to the plus board? Okay, go back. Okay, now where's the plus board? The adding board. Just so you remember, there's the adding board. Okay, so just remember, you gotta hit that for our add. Let's clear it out. Okay, I'm gonna write some of our plus problems down, okay? Okay, so we have 1 plus 3. So can you tell me what 1 plus 3 is? 1. Go back.
1 and 1 and 3.
Okay, let's see how much it is. Go back. Let's go back to numbers. Oh, wait. Sorry, that was my fault. 1 add 3.
3 equals.
Now let's see. Let's do our dots. Our touch points. 1. Alright, let's do it. We're going to do both ways. That's okay. Let's count our touch points. 1. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1 add 3 equals.
1 and 3 equals 4.
Good job. High five. Okay. 0 plus 4. Okay, so let's tell me the problem. Ready?
Yes.
Tell me 0 plus 4.
0. 0 plus. 0 plus 4.
Equals. Equals. Is our equal sign?
4 equals.
What does 0 plus 4 equal to? No? Oops.
0 plus 4 equals 3.
Oops. Let's try again. Let's erase the 3. Let's count them. There's no touch points on 0, right? So let's touch our touch points. 1. Okay, so 0 plus 4 equals.
0 plus 4 equals 1.
Is that correct? No. Let's count again. 4. So 0 plus 4 equals 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no dots here. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many dots are there altogether? Yes.
0 plus 4 equals 4.
Good. Okay, erase it.
Okay, so you get the idea. It can be used not only as a means of communication conversationally, but it can actually be used as an interactive tool during the lesson. What are your thoughts? I feel like you've seen the spectrum of who uses the devices and how they might be used. Questions? You should be stewing or brewing or formulating in your head. Wow, there's a lot to this. There's a lot that we have to consider. What are their physical capabilities? What's their most reliable method of access? access? Are we going to be doing direct selection? Are we going to be doing scanning? Are we going to be doing, a more unaided type of assistant? So we're going to do something gestural. Can you read? How, if we're using some sort of a device, how busy can it be? We saw some of the younger adults, they have very large grids. Large meaning lots of squares in it, whereas this little guy, you probably have like maybe 12. So the access, the buttons were significantly larger. That's good because that means there's fewer things on the page, so it's less distracting, gives them a wider area in which to directly access. You may have had a problem if it were a touchscreen the size of an iPad or an iPod Touch, something like that. It could be difficult. Kids don't have to find motor skills. So a lot of things to think about. You want to think about, with this little guy with the math, obviously he's learning. His vocabulary is going to expand. His communication needs are going to broaden. His language is going to become more sophisticated. With a device like he has, you want one that's going to have the ability for you to adjust the complexity, to go to more buttons per page, so that you have, rather than maybe I forget what his was, but let's say 3x5, so 15, but you want to go to a 32 or a 54 grid. You want to take those things into consideration, because his needs are going to become probably more sophisticated over time, whereas a person who has some sort of a degenerative condition, you may want the ability to move in the opposite direction and go to things that are more basic and more easily accessed. Maybe a device that has the ability to go from direct selection to some sort of a scan or switch activation. Not all of them can, and some of them can, and so you want to take that into consideration. So my point is to let you know that there's lots of different faces behind AAC, and there's a lot of considerations. And when we get to the assessment process, you're probably going to be like, this is a daunting task, but you have a checklist. And give you the tools that you need. But I also think it's important. And I'm here this morning, I have a couple of folks from special ed, because I really do try to make sure that I focus on and show some applications and how it's going to be practical. And like I said, that math lesson I could just as easily have been this teacher as the speech therapist. So that's all he is going to work collaboratively with you, make sure you're comfortable with the device, and then you can do things like that. So I think it's great when folks from your program come in, because speech therapist may get 20 minutes with him. You're with them 40 hours. It's a huge difference. So I promise you, so far it probably hasn't really seemed like that until this last video, but I will be making a very concerted effort to review and make sure that it's accurate. We've had people who's doing that, or you can tell me if I'm not meeting your needs. Questions? Is it piquing your interest a little bit now that we've kind of seen some of the faces behind and how different AAC can look with different people in populations? That's what kind of, I like these kind of stories, these videos, because I really think it brings it to life. And when you meet Brianna, we'll definitely come to life. Last year we didn't do it, but for the last couple of years, Ms. Love has done sponsored demonstrating folks who use ABC. And there's usually even some actual person, and Leanna's been there before. I'm hoping that we do that this year. I missed not doing it last year. Even another t-shirt. And so, but it is really cool because anyone who's interested, we sell t-shirts to show support. It's really kind of cool because you can see the last 2 years ago they were blue, and it was really fun. My family came, and so it was neat to see all those blue t-shirts. Dr. Tim. But anyway, no questions? All right. I will see you all on Thursday. Sure. Ooh, someone else left theirs. Is that Hannah's?
Yes. I think it's